Jackson State team has been domination. We've seen it for 2 weeks now, defensively at least, one time offensively. They don't even have some of their key contributors on defense, and yet and still in the FCS, they rank amongst the best, if not the best, when it comes to defensive statistical categories. And offense, they really aren't too bad as well. So we're going to get into this game. We're going to break it down. Jackson State versus Grambling State. Coach Prime, Hugh Jackson, ESPN, first game at the Vet, 50,000 plus. It's going to be a spectacle to truly behold. Now, before we get started with this video, I would like to take this time to thank everybody who's reached out on social media to give me their condolences regarding my grandmother, who I did lose on Monday. It's been sort of a hard week. Tomorrow is the funeral, and, it is the same time as the game, so I won't be able to watch the game live. I will have to watch it afterwards. So, but I'm doing okay, and I still want to keep myself going with content, just to keep myself going and keep me distracted. So we're gonna break down this game because I still, even though I can't see it live while it's going on, I'm gonna watch it and I'm still excited about it. So here's why Jackson State, to me, is going to dominate this game, at least in one point that we know they're going to dominate, and that's defense. And we're going to get to the offense later on in this video, but I'm going to tell you what's scary about Jackson State defensively. They do not have Frankie Burgess. They don't have True Thompson. They don't have Shiloh. They don't have Katron Evans, just to name a few. Yet, and still, in the FCS, currently, this is where they rank amongst defensive statistical categories. They are number 1 in the nation in sacks. They are number 2 in the nation in tackles for loss. They are number 1 in scoring defense, and they are also number 1 in total defense. In the FCS, not just HBCU, in the FCS. And they don't even have some of the biggest key contributors. That is scary because that tells you the depth and that tells you the rotation that they can really just throw at you at any time. Not to mention the genius minds of Coach Thurman and Coach Zimmerman. It's scary. Here's the thing, though. True Thompson is back. Katron Evans is back. Shiloh is close to being back. Frankie Burgess will be back. Antonio Doyle will be back. This is scary. Let me tell you this. As of right now, now that you have 2 of these guys back at least, even without the other guys, Niles Gaddy, Jeremiah Brown, Devontae Davis, Justin Reagan, Julius Reynolds, that defensive line is just too overwhelming for most offensive lines, most opposing offensive lines. It is just that. It's just that. So when Grambling marches into the Vet and they have that talented running back group that I cannot take away from them, Maurice Washington is truly sensational. That run that he had last week versus, I think it was the school named Northwestern, I believe, absolutely spectacular. We know Maurice Washington is just a dog. With that being said, I don't think he's going to have a big day. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Maurice Washington is able to break off highlight runs. If he's able to get a couple runs, I wouldn't panic. Neither should you, because we know this defense historically has just been great. It's kind of bend but don't break, and they're really not even trying to bend this year. Last week, Devon Starling had 60-something yards, 70-something yards on just a few carries. So that's pretty decent, right? Given the amount of carries that he had. He didn't even reach 100, though. The week before that, versus the number 13 team in the country, he had 200 yards. That tells you everything you need to know about this Jackson State defense. They're stingy. When it comes to Maurice Washington, I think the same thing is going to apply. He's going to have his plays every once in a while. But he can be stopped, and he will be stopped. And he is the driving point of that offense because, to me, I'm not sold on Grambling's quarterback play just yet, but I think they are coming farther along, and I think they are getting better 2 weeks in. Now, also, you got to take into effect, Travis ain't playing this week. And that's okay because Travis has had limited snaps even in week 1. Even in week 1, he's had limited snaps. They were still dominant in the secondary. They have depth everywhere. They have depth everywhere. Seriously. Getting to the offense. Offensively, they didn't play their best game last week. It was very uncharacteristic. But last week was a very weird time in college football, considering that most offenses, most teams in college football, Power 5, Group of 5, FCS, they didn't play their best ball as far as the best goes. And they almost some schools almost got upset. It was just a weird week in college football. It happens. But the thing with Jackson State's offense, even still with them not being as good as we know they can be last week offensively, in the FCS, they are number 11 in passing offense. They are number 17 in passing efficiency. Why? Because Shedeur really does not put that ball in harm's way, that we know. Number 3 in completion percentage. They're efficient. If nothing else, they will be efficient. Shedeur has gotten better. That means less interceptions. I don't see how Grambling handles it. I want to see Grambling State's DB room. See, Tennessee State was a formidable opponent. I never took them for granted. I never even said that would be a blowout. Grambling is a different story. If Jackson State's offense play up to their, like what they should play up to, it shouldn't be a contest. Now, a few comments that I found interesting is that Coach Flea and Coach Prime, they were really talking about the run game a little bit more than usual, which tells me that maybe they are going to try to see what they can do on the ground a little bit more, just to see what they have. But Coach Bartolone is going to do his due diligence. Even I wasn't mad at his play calling all last week. I think it was just execution and, poor refereeing. I think a lot of stuff played a factor, but I have no problems with Coach Bartolone and his play calling. He's been on point. Offensively, I think they'll get back to where they were. They might not put up 55. They might do. All I'm saying is 59. I think that's what they put up week 1. They might not put that up, but I think they'll get back to 30. They'll get in the 30s. That's my prediction. I think that offense will get in the 30s. Offensively, a lot of people really criticize the move of Jackson State getting as much receivers as they did. But now you see why it's so important and that it's necessary to have depth at every position, especially that position. Why? Because last week when Dallas Daniels, when Shane Hooks, when Kevin Coleman, when those guys couldn't come up with the play, Willie Gaines came up with the play. Willie Gaines is great. I had him on the show. Willie Gaines is a damn good receiver. Willie Gaines isn't the starter. He started worthy, he started quality, but because of that depth, he's not the starter. But yet he's the one who came to coach and said, hey, put me in, I got it. I'm going to get us a touchdown. And what he did, catch the go-ahead touchdown to put the game out of reach. That's the quality. That's the benefit of having depth at that position. Jackson State should win this game handedly. I expect them to win this game handedly. And for those of you who don't know, they got a few transfers that's coming in this weekend to watch the team play. And from what I'm hearing, they real nice with it. They real nice. I don't know who they are, but hey, they got a few recruits coming in. That's all I'm gonna say, man. They got a few recruits coming in that's gonna be done. I don't know if I said transfers earlier, but I meant just recruits. Right? They got recruits that's coming in. They're gonna be good. With that being said, though, for Grambling side of the ball, Maurice Washington, he's that guy. Maurice Washington is that guy. He's the driving force. And I think if you're Grambling, you gotta put your best against their best. You gotta run, even though that defense is tenacious. You can't pass the ball, in my opinion. You could try, right? But you have Nugget, you have K5, you have Cam, you have Joker, you have Jalen Hughes. Passing is not your strong suit. I'm not sold on that quarterback play just yet for Grambling. So if it's me, take it to the ground. Get physical. Get physical. With that being said, you are watching the BlitzCity Podcast. I'm your host, Kobe Orr. I'm out. Peace.